Hi guys, Mrs. Young here. I would like to go over the scientific method scenarios 1 and 2 that we did in class today. So a group of friends got together to do an experiment. They went through all the steps of the scientific method. Follow along with their story below to answer the questions on the next page. All right, so we had this group of friends and they came up with this question. Does water freeze faster on its own or with sugar added to it? So is it a testable question? Absolutely is. So they thought, what should we do? First thing they need to do is they need to go to the library because they need to do a little bit of research. Because their next step is going to be to make an educated guess or make a hypothesis. So you have to have a little education behind that educated guess, right? So after doing a little bit of research, they came up with their hypothesis: if sugar is added to water, then it will take longer to freeze. And we're going to add one more little component, which is a because. Okay, because the water composition changed. Okay, so here we do an if, then, because hypothesis. Okay, if I do this, then this will happen because that's your why. Okay, so in with this hypothesis, you are able to pick out the independent and dependent variable. What is it that you're purposely changing? That is the sugar. That is going to be your independent variable. What are you going to measure? Longer to freeze or time, right? That is your dependent variable. All right, so that's what they think. So then now they are ready to set up their experiment. Right, ready to set up their experiment. So the friends set up their experiment the following way. They fill 4 beakers with 50 mils room temperature of water. Okay, so right off the bat, I see that this is going to be our control. This is what's going to stay the same between all 4 experiments. Okay, so we have 50 mils, 50 mils, 50 mils, 50 mils, 50 mils. So that is a control variable. They are all the same temperature, also another control. So then what are they doing differently? That is your independent variable. What are they purposely changing between these experiments? They're purposely changing the amount of sugar. So it goes on to talk about how in beaker number 1, there's no sugar added at all. And actually, that will become your ultimate control. Because what happens if we don't add any sugar to it, okay? And we just have plain water. We need to know what that baseline data is. So that becomes your control. And to the 2, 3, and 4, they add 10 grams of sugar, 20 grams of sugar, and 30 grams of sugar. They went up by an increment of 10 each time. So then they placed the beakers in the same fridge, which is another control, and they checked every 10 minutes, another control. All right, so they are then able to calculate the results. So they organize the results in a nice little table. So this is the results. They're going to analyze the results. Okay, so students found the time it took for each beaker to freeze and recorded it in the table below. All right, so it's a way to organize their thoughts. So beaker number 1, now remember beaker number 1 has no sugar in it because they want to know, does sugar affect the freezing time of water? So beaker number 1, 50 minutes, beaker number 2, 75, beaker number 3, 90, and beaker number 4, 110 minutes. So after analyzing their results, the students found that water with sugar in it takes longer to freeze, since the beaker with no sugar took 50 minutes to freeze, while the beaker with 30 grams of sugar took 110 minutes. Their hypothesis was proven. Remember, if we go up here and we were wondering, well, what was their hypothesis? Well, they thought it would take longer to freeze if they added sugar. So their hypothesis was proven. So this is their conclusion, where they are analyzing the results and wrapping up and explaining what happened. Okay? All right. So now let's go ahead and answer some of these questions. The students predict if sugar is added to water, then it will take longer to freeze. That is a hypothesis. The student asked, does water freeze faster on its own or with sugar in it? That is their problem. That is their problem / question, right? All right. The student states the hypothesis was proven. Water with sugar in it takes longer to freeze since a beaker with no sugar took 50 minutes to freeze while the beaker with 30 grams of sugar took 110 minutes. That is their conclusion. And wrapping it all up. All right. So the students recorded the following information. So that's this section here with what's going on with the number of grams of sugar and time to freeze. So that is an observation. What type of observation? Quantitative, because it dealt with measuring and numbers, right? Okay. The students filled 4 beakers with 50 mils room temperature water. They added 0, 10, 20, and 30 grams of sugar to the beakers. They placed the beakers in the same freezer and checked every 10 minutes. What are they explaining here? They're explaining their experiment. The students looked online to find out the freezing point of water. What was that? That was their research. Okay. Alrighty. So how'd you do with this one? Hope you did well. And I'm going to end this video and I will start the second one with the second scenario. All right.